Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and welcome to another ENFP male interview. Today, I get to interview Evan. So, Evan, welcome, man.
Yeah, nice to see you. I've been really excited for this interview.
Yeah, for sure. Like we've been keeping in touch for a while now, so I definitely saw how excited you are. Can you tell us what your full type is?
Yeah, so I'm ESTP, double feminine, consume, play, sleep, blast.
And then when you got your results back, what did you think and how did you feel?
Yeah, so all this time I thought I was an ENTP. Um, I got the animals right, like I knew I was a skib. And basically, like I started this typing thing with MBTI and I got ENTP. And I was never really quite sure because when I was answering the questions, I was always kind of like, well, I don't know if I'm really doing this more than the average person or not. I kind of wish they had like a counter for each thing. So you know how it'll ask you the question, how often do you like go to the center of a room versus stand on the outside? I kind of wish I had a stat counter saying I'm in the middle like 10 times and I'm on the outside however many times, right? Because like memory is faulty, you don't really know. Well, I would say that, right? Like feminine sensory. So like I wasn't really sure. So I spent the last 3 years or so looking online trying to figure out, am I really ENTP or am I something else? And I went through like CS Joseph's system for ages and he types me as an ENTP, but that's because he's defining the functions slightly different to Dave and Shan, right? So you kind of get the types fractaling out a bit different. And there's kind of a pattern to how they're typing people differently. I've noticed a lot of the double masculine ENTPs he will get as like ISTJs and stuff. So yeah, I first got my result and I was like, okay, yeah, I see it because I'd actually gone through a lot of your interviews and the double feminine ESTP CPSB type. I looked at them and gone, they look kind of like me, they're talking like me, they're doing a lot of the same stuff. But I also resonated a lot with the ENTPs, and that'll be because we've got like the matching Ti-Fe. So the thing I found most fascinating was I've always been trying to figure out why, because SE at the top you'd expect like they're very present and in the environment, but I'm very much not. And I've always been criticized for being like off with the fairies, like by teachers, by managers, by like my dad's trading mates. Like I'll do jobs with them and they're like, dude, you're not looking around. Like you're always like off somewhere else, tripping over things. I'm very clumsy. And so the only thing I can really think of that would explain that is I think when people are thinking of SE, they're thinking of masculine sensory. And from asking around in the Facebook group, it seems to be that feminine sensory, even if it's SE at the top, is quite daydreamy because the masculine intuition pulls you into your imagination or something. Like, does that seem to be a pattern that you're noticing?
Uh, well, it depends on the animal stack. You have sleep third, so you do have access to it. Because if you were double feminine but you were sleep last, you wouldn't be dreamy, you know.
Yeah, right. Because the stuff I'm interested in is real like kind of whimsical and fantastical. Like my friends like playing like shooter games and car games, but I just reckon they're boring. I'd rather like I only play it if it's a car game where you can shoot each other like Crash Team Racing or like
Right.
I like things like Attack on Titan where they've got those those grapple hook things where they fly around. It wouldn't work in real life, Um,
So you like something that's more make believe than reality.
oh, absolutely, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest thing I learned with OPS is like, oh, there's a lot of types that are, ESFPs or ESTPs, and then people assume that you guys can't use intuition. But there are versions of you guys with masculine and I that can see it. It doesn't mean
Yeah.
it doesn't mean you're good at it, but you can definitely see it, Um,
Yeah, so I guess the mistake most people make is they'll go like, no, I'm imagining a lot, therefore I'm in, they typed me wrong. But the way I look at it is this is a case where I've misunderstood NE versus like feminine sensory, masculine sensory. I think it just really proves like the difference between the sexuals is quite like massive.
yeah. Yeah, definitely it's a big difference. Well, since we're in that topic already, let's start with your first function, feminine SE. So you said that you're pretty clumsy, you bump into shit all the time, and you're in your
Oh
head
yeah,
a lot.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. One of the greatest UFC fighter of all time is double feminine though. Anderson Silva. I don't know if you follow UFC or whatever, but
I've heard the name, yeah.
yeah. But anyways, he's double feminine, so he's beating all these double masculine guys, right? Because like every time they punch him, he's just like dodging all the stuff, right? So
Yeah,
do you relate to that? Like you're very like when like there's like a physical thing that's coming your way, it's kind of like very easy for you to like like kind of evade it, like.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You know how they always use the example of someone throws a ball at you, are you going to catch it and throw it back hard, or just go like, "Ah."
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'd be the second one, yeah.
you'll be like, yeah, he'll be like that. And then but because you're Savior SE, do you still love like are you still obsessed with gathering like physical objects or things? Like is there still like an obsession when it comes to that?
Thinking about that, I'd say the stuff I'm gathering is more data. Like I'm very into science. I read a lot of scientific papers, and then my favorite thing is I'll gather it and then I'll go like sleep process it later. It just kind of happens automatically.
Okay.
But I get to see it happen. So every time I learn, like when I learn my type, you could getting any work done is just like a waste of time because I can't stop thinking about like, okay, why is it then if I'm sensory at the top that I'm always in my head? What has to be that it's feminine sensory? I think that the masculine functions, they kind of like muscle their way into your consciousness.
Yeah.
And because I'm like double masculine sleep, it kind of like if I'm not interested in what I'm consuming and if I'm not playing, then like whatever I'm doing is fucked. Like I'm just in my head. But if it is interesting, then I'll be paying very close attention. So when I'm watching ops videos, I'm very much focused and consuming. If it's say like I don't know a TV show that I like, I'll be very focused. If it is, I don't know. I guess like the easiest way to explain the feminine SE is I can't sit still. Like I have to move and I exercise in like a safe state. As far as gathering, I don't know what I'm really gathering in terms of physical like things. I'm
Right.
gathering like data, physical. I wouldn't say it's physical data, but it's like facts.
Right.
And it has to be provable. If it's not provable, it gets categorized as like maybe, and I'll keep consuming until I find something that maybe could prove it.
I see. Okay, so because it's feminine SE, I like the word that you use, the word maybe, because it doesn't mean it's false. It just means it's not. There's no. You haven't categorized it yet, just because
Yeah.
you don't know. You don't know if it's right or not. It could be, but you're not sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of my consumers trying to prove like maybe things like. So in my head, it's like a mind map of provable and unprovable information, and I've got like this worldview. And if something disproves something, then part of it falls down. I rebuild it.
Gotcha. So I guess you're talking about your ST consume. Let's talk about your NT sleep since you've already kind of started touching base on it. Double masculine NITI. How do you prove that what you've gathered is true after it initially being in a maybe category? How do you use your NT to figure that out?
Yeah. So usually I'll look up scientific papers and I'll read them. And if I don't look up scientific papers, I'll look up a YouTube video where there's all these channels where people will read papers and then just break them down. Then I don't have to read it.
Okay.
I can just drive around or walk around and listen to it. That's how I get a lot of my consume. So I actually was guessing I'd be audio because you talk a lot in your videos about how the audios seem to be able to like absorb a lot of audio information.
Right.
Like I got a job delivering Uber Eats just so I could drive around and earn money while I consume lectures. Like,
that's cool.
Yeah, so I'll listen to a lecture or I'll read like a paper or a book or something, and then, like I said before, if I'm not consuming and I'm not playing, I'll be sleep processing it and figuring it out. And it's usually in the shape of I'll see it visually, but also it'll kind of be like imagined conversations where I'm trying to explain it to someone. Except when I do actually try to explain it, it comes out as like a garbled mess because it's blast.
Right. NT sleep is also figuring things out, and it's also personal. So let's touch on the personal side. When you're doing the figuring things out part, Do you prefer to do it completely by yourself and you don't want anyone to interfere with the process?
Yes and no, which would make sense because it's in the middle, right? So I'll kind of jump.
Right. You're a double-sider, so yeah, that kind of makes sense still.
Yeah, so on my own, I really like, I will be kind of like doing that a lot, just like thinking about it. But then I really want to talk about it. So I'll talk about like this theory I came up with based on, I mean, we kind of did this, right? Like, I always thought I was SI, and for that reason, when I exercise, I could really like kind of feel inside my body, because that's how C.S. Joseph always explained it, right? So he always says SI is like an awareness of inside your body, and I was like, oh yeah, sure, right. So I don't know what that is in ops, what gives me that awareness, because I know my friends don't, because when we try to do workouts together, I'm like, can you feel how like there's this little like nuanced way you can like move your muscle, and like I actually can't see what I'm doing, but you can like move your muscle a certain way and like kind of feel inside. And they're like, no, what are you talking about? Like, but we always assumed they were like SE users or something, you know. What were we talking about? Sorry.
We were talking about like, the figuring out process was personal or not until you started channel change. Until you channel change, which is fine. You're an EP, so
yeah. So this is all stuff I've pre-processed, and now
yeah.
I'm talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we were talking in the Facebook group about this, and turns out I'm not even SI. So like that whole theory falls apart. So that's something that I would consider like disproven, or like to be proven later, given new information.
I think in general, people with SI would have a better awareness for their body than SE people. However, it's like anything else in life, you can train and you could.
Yeah.
If you're someone that works out regularly, you would know how it feels, even if you have SE. Is what I'm trying to say. So it's
Yeah,
like,
I've been working out for 15 years. So
oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. So it's like, yeah, there's gonna be like even if you're not auditory, but if you do a lot of it, then obviously you can pick it up and you can learn how to use it, right? So
yeah.
so I think that's the good thing I like about OPS. Is like they said that everyone can do everything, but
Yes,
you're gonna lean towards certain things more than the other, right? So I think that's a good way to describe it. Anyways, let's go back to your double masculine NT sleep again. So NT means you're trying to solve a puzzle or you're figuring something out. So like what happens in that process? Can you describe it from your own personal experience?
Yeah. So this is also sorry to change the channel. So I've always been, this is like the NF demon thing, is I've always been trying to figure out like purpose of life. Why are we here? But to know that, we have to kind of know like, okay, like I've been trying to figure out, does God exist or not? Are there reasons to be good or bad? And to do that, I've been trying to block bang what the universe is kind of made of. So that really started, I was asking the questions when I was like a little kid, but a real good example of NT sleep would be, I don't know when you guys start learning science in America, but we start really properly learning science at the age of about 13, the first year of high school. And so I always did really poorly in school until then. And then I actually got like the first year of high school, I got the highest grade in the whole school for science. And I only got one question wrong. It's one that I skipped and forgot to go back to. But what would happen was I'd go to the class, we'd learn a bunch of stuff. We'd be learning like about like the periodic table or how the atoms fit together, and somehow how that like relates to how the genetic chain is formed, and then you get mutations, and then evolution is essentially like every time an animal births a child, it'll be slightly different from the other. So into the future, you get like these massive differences, but like looking at them side by side, they look the same. I'd learn it, and then I'd go do like my paper run, because I delivered papers to earn money, and I'd just be thinking about it, and then I'd kind of figure out what's coming next. Like I bet in the next week we're also going to learn da 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 da. I guess that'd be like the NI. I'd somehow it's really hard to explain. I kind of know based on, say, for example, the atoms coming together, I just intuit that, okay, that's going to be somehow based on the magnetic forces, and they're going to tell us that the atoms flying around, they're kind of predetermined. They're just going to fold up in a predetermined way, and then they're also going to match up in a predetermined way, and that's going to build, you know, say like a human, just purely based on how the molecular chain folded up and flew around according to the laws of magnetism. Do a few jumps and you've got a person. And it's not that like some kind of a god was like pulling the strings or anything. It's just like, this is how it occurred, and it's because of the laws of physics, and you can simulate it in like a massive simulation. And so my guess would be, okay, so in the future, chemists are going to have these AIs that are like building molecules, and they're going to figure out how to like make medicine just based on the shape of the molecule and putting it into a simulation, and that's what they actually do. But I didn't know that. It's just like a guess, and that's how the NT sleep works, I guess. I just guess things like that and then later go search to see if it's like true or not. But Dave and Shannon always said that was like intuition. So I guess where I'm a sensor is first I got the input, then I did the guess, and then I'm proving the input. So when you're doing the chicken and the egg kind of game, the first thing that came was the sensory. And then I did the intuition, and then I'm doing sensory again. Whereas I'm guessing what you would do is you'd guess first, and then you'd like search for it later. But if you go all the way back in time, the first thing for me was sensory.
Right.
And it had to be proven. If it wasn't proven, I'd just be like,
Well, the crazy thing is both methods work. Sensory first and then intuition, versus intuition and then sensory. They both work. So it's not like one method is better than the other. Like at least Mr. Beast is an example. He's double feminine. He's consumed sleep, right? I don't know if you know Mr. Beast, the ENFP guy. Okay, so he has like over 70 million subscribers, and he does like stunts on YouTube, and he rose into like how many subscribers he had in a very short time. Like he just rapidly grew, and he just pulled shit out of his ass because he uses NEFI to gather the patterns and to kind of, and then later on he created something that's SF with the stuff that he's gathered, right? And now he's unstoppable.
Where's he gathering the patterns from? Is he just watching people and seeing that's what they're doing?
I think he's just studying the market and stuff, but he's not gathering like facts in general, because he pulled shit out of his ass that no one has ever done. It's like, it's original.
Right.
Now the people with SE are copying him now, but he
yes, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was gathering patterns, because I'm gathering his patterns that he's figured out, but I'm gathering it as a fact, not as a pattern, right?
Yeah, you gathered a fact that is already proven to work.
Yeah, right.
When he did it, it was not proven to work. It was a gamble, and but it was an intelligent gamble, you could say, that he did, because he has masculine NE, right? So like a lot of the, you know, a lot of the people who are in the top 10 richest in the world have masculine NE and masculine, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, they all took a gamble, right? Mark Zuckerberg. So it's definitely like the, so like I said, both methods work. There's like from what I can see, like, the SE and then the N after NI, that works just great. Yeah. So
I can see how people would. I know a lot of my friends used me as like the baseline for what an ENTP is, but now it's just all wrong, right? But I can see how people would make the mistake, because if you're using like a different system with only 16 types, you're trying to cram like 100 and something ops types into one category, right? Which is why ops is so good, because it's so nuanced. You can really see the difference, and you can see, okay, Evan is in fact sensory. He's gathering facts. He's copying like as you just said, right?
Yeah, you're gathering.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, you know how you always do the question at the end, like, and people always ask you, so what's it like to have NE? And you always say just gathering information.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I'm gathering information. So like, you just explain the difference. Like, you're gathering information that hasn't yet been proven, and I'm gathering something that you've figured out, essentially. But
well, yours is like you gather something that is already effective. It's clearly effective. There's data to prove that it's effective. Like Mr. Beast, for example.
Yeah.
He has 70 million subs. his video, has at least 20, 30 million views each, so that's like a proven, and so basically what he's doing is a proven system to work, right?
Yeah, that's the key. Proven in reality is the thing with me.
Right, but the NE people are making it's not really a pure guess, it's an intelligent guess based on patterns that you've gathered around you.
Yeah.
So after you gathered enough patterns, then you can build something with your SI, something concrete that's original, essentially. So the SI is more original, right? While your NI is more original. So the I is the original, while the E is like the gathered.
Yeah, right. And I can see how over the course of my life, I can see how before I wouldn't have done something without it like being proven. But now I've been making guesses because like it's gotten to the point where I make a guess, but I'd like want it to be proven. But over time, I've just seen my guesses be accurate enough that I'm more confident to guess.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So over time, I'm guessing more and more and more as the intuition gets better. But it's like based on this massive foundation of kind of like proven science.
Right. I mean, that's good. I mean, you're building your foundation first before you start making guesses, right? Because later on, then once you have this foundation set, then you can make a lot of guess, and it's an intelligent guess because it's based on proven factual information that you've already gathered over your lifetime.
Yeah, it's like they always say, like the sensors they're making accurate guesses is just really slow.
Yeah, it's slow. Yeah, that's why you won't do the rapid guessing. You're not going to do until you're older,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because then by then you'll feel confident in your guessing ability, especially you because you're masculine NI, right? So you'll be more confident at guessing than your feminine NI ESTP counterparts.
Yeah, when I'm confident in a guess, I am very confident.
Yeah,
but that's only because I've consumed so much. I really want to make sure that it's correct. Yeah, well, we can move on. Sorry.
Yeah, so let's talk about your play now. SF play. So it's SEFE, double feminine SF play. Dave and Shannon had a class recently about NFTs. I don't know if you saw that one, but so all the SEFE people, they get it. Well, everyone else is like, the fuck is this NFT shit, So talk about like being able to gather what's popular from the tribe and respecting what's popular.
I definitely see it. I wouldn't say I respect it.
Okay.
But that's probably because FE is a demon for me.
Okay.
I can definitely see it. I just most of the time think it's really dumb.
Okay.
And well, it kind of is, right? Like
it is stupid, but it doesn't change the fact that it works. It
does, and it upsets me. It's kind of like what are these people like? What is society doing? No wonder we're running off a cliff if this is what people are valuing.
Yeah.
Like we should be valuing protecting the environment, education, scientific proof from my perspective. Like because that's what's going to stop us barbecuing the planet. It's what's going to solve our food crisis, which we probably like shouldn't have. I think we do have the ability to feed the whole planet. It's just like we're not figuring it out. There's not enough people trying to figure it out. There's too many people denying things like, like say climate change when we could just be figuring it out, because people are paying attention to just other silly nonsense, which is like my digital copy is the original, even though like it's no different to like something that wouldn't have the NFT, right? Other than the fact that people are valuing it, as they say.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people that's denying the climate change, I think they do believe it, but it's going to cut into their profits, and they probably feel like, you know what, I'll be dead by the time it affects me, so who cares,
Yeah, but there are people who like, I've got friends who just trust what they say and deny climate change just because.
Sure, yeah, of course there's going to be people like that as well.
They're not actually profiting themselves. They just identify with being that political spectrum or whatever. Like,
fair enough. Yeah, there's definitely numerous thought about this. You have SF play. Let's talk about SF play some more. Double feminine. So because it's double feminine, how movable are you when like let's say you're in a party and someone is dictating the vibe of the party? Would you say you would get sucked in really easily into that because it's the double feminine play?
Yeah, depends what it is. I don't like. So I'm trying to think of a way to explain it. I get really nervous about trying to move others. I will just go along with things usually. Yeah, if someone's doing something bad, I'll feel like, oh man, I should be like saying something here, but I'll feel really, really nervous about it. And they have to be like doing it repeatedly, and then I'll say something, but I'll be really nervous to rock the boat. I will eventually rock the boat, but I feel really uncomfortable doing it. Otherwise, like if it's like neutral, I'll just kind of like go along with it and see what happens. And should I rock the boat or not? Should I just go along with this? If everyone's just having fun, then like yeah, I'll just like go along and have fun. I have a bit of trouble letting loose. I've got a bit of like social anxiety, which I had since I was a little kid, and I actually learned from like the internet how to interact with people by learning, like there's like those pickup artist forums and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't talk to girls or anything like when I was younger, so I like looked up how to do it and then practice, and that's why now I'm like a little bit better. But I don't know if that's anything to do with the feminine SF or not. I don't know if that's like something you've noticed as like a pattern among those types. But for me, I've got like anxiety when I get into those situations.
I don't know. I don't know if it's feminine SF. I feel like it's consume. It's like consume first. So consume is responsible for having self-awareness from an external perspective. So that means at any given time, you are like a ghost and you can see yourself from a third person perspective. So
Okay.
Yeah, and then that would make you really self-conscious, because then you can see how you're presenting yourself to others all the time. If you were consumed last, you could act like a moron and you would never know because you're not consuming yourself, right? Yeah. So I think that's what's happening. Yeah. So you went to like what, RSD and all those POA forums.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a face like that, so I get it. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's interesting. Let's talk about your NF now. NF blast. This is your blast last. It's NF. NF is correlated with purpose and meaning. So if you have it last, that's going to be something that you would struggle with. It's like finding like life's meaning or life's purpose. And of course, also the basic definition of NF or blast in general, which is getting started and teaching your known information. So there's a lot of moving parts here. So let's cover them one by one. Let's start with the basic definition first, which is teaching your known information to people. So your blast last, how difficult is it to teach what you already know?
Takes a lot of processing, I guess. It's easier if I can write it. Like if I'm typing it to somebody, then I can just keep editing it and read over and see if it made sense or not. If I'm talking, like even now, like I'm pretty aware I explained the feminine SF pretty badly, and like I just thought of some better examples, but we've like moved on, so that's kind of how it works. It's like slow.
Yeah. You can explain it if you want.
Yeah, I guess like the SF play, I am like a very playful person, and when I'm playing with people, I just want to like run around and have fun and like wrestle with people, and I give off like, because like both of my extroverted functions are feminine, so I'm aware that I give off a gay vibe, but I'm very much not. So like I've been approached by like LGBT people when I go out like at night, and they'll be like, oh hey, you want to like come along with us? I'm like, oh no, sorry, I'm fine. Like like
that's funny.
But I like to, I guess because it's SE, I like to do physical things with people. I find that very fun.
Yeah, I noticed that with you guys, like the ESTPs and ESFPs, you guys love doing that like physical stuff with people, like high five, like buddies, let's grab each other, and like, and I'm like, oh my god, I've been to those parties. I fucking hate them so much. But like,
yeah, that's, I think I always thought of that as masculine SE. I don't really do stuff like that. I'm thinking more like I'd like to go to like a Ninja Warrior sort of course thing and do that with people. Or
Sure.
like
Okay.
kick a ball or throw a ball or something. Or like
Yeah.
just play fight. But it's not like when I go out to people, I'm kind of like nervous to touch people because I know I'm clumsy and or like accidentally hurt someone,
Yeah.
or like sometimes I don't know my own strength because I've been lifting for quite a while.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've like this one time, like I hadn't seen my brother for a couple of years because I was living in Korea, and I can't remember the context. He was getting like harassed by like homeless people and stuff, and I was like, if they come up to you too close and they start threatening you, I don't know if the guy was homeless or just like being he's like a really nervous kind of a guy, like he gets picked on easily, and so I was like, if they get too close, you got to push them back. I just did this and he like fell over. And I was like, oh, fuck. This is sorry, I don't know if I'm supposed to swear
Yeah.
or
You
not.
can swear as much you want.
Yeah, cool, man. But I was like, I didn't know my own strength, so I couldn't control it properly. Like I wasn't aware of his weight versus like mine. And I just assumed that'd be like a masculine sensory. So I'm very nervous to like move things with people and very nervous to like wave myself around if there's people around because sometimes I hit people. Like one time I used to teach English in Korea. One time I can't like sit still, so I was just like waving around like this, and my arm like smacked a kid in the face, and they started crying. I was like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry."
Beat up a Korean kid. Hey.
I just looked like a dumbass, you know.
Yeah, but everything you describe, I hate that. Like the hey, let's go somewhere, throw a ball, like let's go to a Ninja Warrior place. I'm like, oh my god, hell no. I have SI, right? So
Oh yeah, that sounds great.
I'm like, fuck no. My girlfriend loves that shit. She has SE, right? Even though it's fourth. And she
Yeah.
loves all that stuff, right? I'm like, nope, 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 nope. Don't want that. Don't that's not fun for me.
That's interesting, man. That's totally outside of my perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, definitely the SI. I mean, some SI people like that, but I
I
don't.
like agility stuff, you know. I guess that's the feminine S. Is like I like to do.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I get the lure of it, and I do like watching it, but I don't want to do it. Like it's not exciting. Yeah,
It's
yeah. I
good.
know I know a lot of people who are like SE in general. They like parkour. Like they.
Yeah. I watch a lot of parkour stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's like the very definition of SE. But for me, I'm like, nope. SEK. I mean, sensory chaos. No thanks. Um.
Yeah, the best dreams I have are when I'm dreaming of like flying around or like running super fast and jumping over things.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I can picture it, but I would not enjoy doing it. But I can picture it. I can see how you guys would enjoy it. Yeah.
You must be doing that like in the abstract sense though. Like you guys are like the abstract athletes.
Well, it's N, right? So it's not like physical. It's like more like magic and shit, like fantasy.
Yeah, but if you're like putting things together in your head, like if you could see in my imagination, you'd probably be like, oh man, that guy's a total idiot. He's not doing it right. Whereas like, say your ability to put together abstract concepts was an athletic ability, you guys would be the athlete. Does that make sense? Like,
no, I know what you're saying, but I don't imagine what you're saying. Like I don't imagine that at all. Like
yeah, sorry, that's my shit blast.
yeah, no, I'm more likely to imagine something that's not real. Like I can like let's say I can fly through a black hole and I can come out of the black hole and there's gonna be another universe outside the black hole and with different planets and stuff and different ecosystem and different climate. So that's the kind of stuff I would like imagine instead of like, something that's more like real, like, oh, can I jump over, like from this building to this building, if I have a running start, how would we feel to jump over this building, like parkour.
Okay, yeah.
Like, no, I wouldn't do any of that stuff. Like, I don't, yeah, I never even thought of imagining that kind of stuff,
This is probably gonna be like I did this thing that one time that like Dave and Shane always shit on people for. But
Yeah.
like I did used to imagine that exact thing where like sometimes when I was on my paper run and I'd finish my NT process, I'd be like, what if there was like this other world, but instead of being made of matter, it was made of like some opposite, like some theory. I don't know if this is actually how antimatter works or not, but
Yeah.
like some antimatter world where stuff is like different and the physics are different, and so we wouldn't actually be able to comprehend it. But I'd be like, what if there was like a movie where someone went into the black hole and they're like trying to navigate this antimatter kind of world,
Yeah.
where like everything's wacky.
I mean, they did say people who are like ESTPs when they do mushrooms and stuff, like they do see that kind of stuff. So, it's not impossible for you, and you have masculine N, right? So you're more likely to see it than, your feminine N counterparts. So, like everyone can do everything. Like I can even imagine the sensory stuff that you described earlier. I just, won't,
Yeah.
I won't participate in it, but
I guess you're doing that like 100 times more than I'm actually doing it or something. Like,
yeah, like when I dream, like I usually dream about zombie apocalypse, and I have a shotgun, and I'm like,
okay.
like blowing them up, right? I mean, there's like the chance of having a zombie apocalypse is pretty much 0%, like but that's what I dream about is zombies, like like so
Yeah, I'll usually, all my dreams are totally different. Like, I have these dreams where I'm like going through a haunted house looking for like a ghost. And
oh,
like every time I find the ghost, it's like a boss battle, and it's like a different kind of boss battle, and
yeah,
it'll go off. And I'm like looking through all these doors, it's like bathroom. Why are there so many bathrooms? And I'll open this thing, and there'll be like this well with a black hole in it, and I feel like jump in.
right.
And I jump in, and it's like this crazy battle in space. Like,
Can you talk about the ghost thing? I don't understand it. Like, so what is that, the ESTP ESFP ghost story thing? Like, I don't understand it.
They said that was masculine SE, feminine NI. So I'm guessing
oh,
because they're so in the environment, their imagination comes out. But I get the ghosts in my head, I guess, because it's like masculine and feminine S.
yeah, but what I mean, even you can see the ghost stuff. So what's going on, even though it's masculine? And so what's
I mean,
happening?
that was a dream though. Like,
Okay, okay. No, I just think
yeah,
it's I'm like I can't relate to that. I don't understand. I'm like, what ghosts? What's that ESFP and ESTP scene with this ghost stuff?
I guess as a kid, I was always worried about like ghosts, and it's not even that I'm worried about seeing a ghost. I'm worried that I'll imagine seeing a ghost or something. Like,
Okay, what's scary about that?
well, I don't know. It's like might be schizophrenia or something, like.
Oh, okay, I see. You might think you're like you're some kind of like
Yeah, it's like, oh man, I don't want to be like, I mean, like, if you can imagine, like, some people have those like illnesses where they hear voices and stuff.
yeah.
That would be annoying, right?
Yeah,
And
of
I
course.
don't want that for the rest of my life. Like,
Okay, so it
and
would
if
be a
it's like,
nuisance.
yeah, or like, what if it was like saying really dark things in a scary voice and you're trying to sleep? That's like, oh man, like, I don't want to be sleeping there. Like, so I used to practice lucid dreaming, and I used to sleep on my back, but ever since I started lucid dreaming, I stopped because it's sort of known that if you start practicing lucid dreaming, you can sometimes trigger these things called they're called night terrors, where you'll get like paralyzed in your bed while you're waking up, and you'll kind of be half in the dream state, half not in the dream state. And if you look it up, just type night terrors into YouTube.
I don't need to look it up. It's happened to me already.
Yeah, okay, and you see like the shadow people walking around or something like.
Yeah, it's scary. I can't move too, which is the worst part. I'm
So
awake.
did you actually see the shadow people or like a witch on top of you or anything like that?
Well, not necessarily shadow things. I just remember I was paralyzed and there was something scary happening, like demons and stuff. And
Yeah, there's like usually a presence.
yeah, demons. It was demons. I remember it was my grandpa's old house, and there was demons in there, and I was stuck in the kind of like an elevator shaft. But I
Yeah.
woke up when it happened because it was so scary. But I was still stuck in the dream, so I was awake. I could see my room, but I couldn't move my body. My body was paralyzed, and it's happened like twice in my life. So
Oh my God.
yeah, it's definitely.
Apparently the best way to deal with it is to laugh at the demons and they just kind of don't know what to do and they fuck off. Like,
I mean, like I said, it's only happened twice. I didn't know what was happening at the time. I didn't realize it was like the night terror thing, So
yeah, see, it's never actually happened to me, but just reading about it was enough to like not sleep on my back because the rate that it happens more often if you're on your back.
oh great, that's why it happened to me. I sleep on my back.
So I slept on my side from then on. Like,
Yeah. Okay. Well, that explains things. I didn't know that.
the only time I've actually experienced was there's one method of lucid dreaming called it's the acronym is WILD, which stands for Wake Induced Lucid Dream.
Okay.
The standard version of lucid dreaming is like you practice reality checks during the day. So you like pinch your nose and try to breathe in. If you can still breathe, you're dreaming because like your nostrils are actually open in real life, right? Or you can like try to stick your finger through your hand. Some people look at the time, look away, look back, the numbers will change. But if you do that enough times during the day, you'll start doing it in your dream as well. And you can become lucid and then you can control it and stuff, right?
Right.
But there's a method called wake-induced lucid dream where you're not becoming lucid inside the dream. You're trying to like consciously fall asleep, but stay aware. And you kind of like have to experience going through all the stages of sleep before you get into the dream. And so you have to be conscious while your body is being paralyzed. Then you go through the stage where you start to see images and you hear voices and stuff, and then you'll kind of like emerge into the dream. And I've not successfully done it because I always lose consciousness partway through. But it is scary, man. Like, because you get paralyzed, so you can't feel your bed. It feels like you're falling through space. And then you hear voices and you see things. It's like, oh my God, it's terrible. I only tried it like twice and I was like, nah, it's enough for me. I'm good. I'm good with the DILD. The dream-induced lucid dream.
I see. I guess when you go to the stage of REM, you that's when you fall asleep. You couldn't maintain it long enough.
I always lose consciousness.
Yeah.
Dude, I'll be having these wild dreams. Like I'll be like flying a jet plane and I get out and I'm like, I'm like some kind of space fighter or something, and there's like these magic lines and stuff flying around and I can shoot fireballs. And my original thought is like, not this is a dream. It's holy crap, magic's real. Because I guess the sensory is always trying to figure out what's real and like not real, what's true and what's true and what's not true scientifically is what I'm always trying to figure out, right? So my first thought was like, whoa, magic's real. Like this is like a total change in my worldview. And they'll be like, wait a second, I better do a dream test. No, I don't need to do a dream test. I know this is real.
Oh, that's funny.
But then I'll do it anyway. And I'm like, holy crap, I am actually dreaming. Why did I jump to, oh, this is obviously real,
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, we never talked about ENF Blast.
Yeah, it's okay. We can talk about it right now. We do have 4 minutes left before my next before we have to wrap up the interview.
Oh yeah, we better shit.
Yeah, so we got let's go the rapid fire questions. NF Blast. So talk about meaning.
So purpose stuff, right?
Yeah, purpose. Well, I mean, I see NF Blast more like your purpose is to teach, but I want to hear your definition of it.
Yeah, a lot of people told me I should be a teacher. Yeah. I'd rather teach scientific stuff. But right now I teach English and it's so boring because it's just like.
That's more like an S. It's an. I think teaching English is more like SI, to be honest.
Yeah. Anyway, so part of wanting to know my type was I wanted to know what my purpose was. I can't like figure it out. So I figured I'll find like other people that are my type clones and see what they're doing and try to like that maybe that'll give me clues as to what I should do. And it's funny because like I've already listened to 2 of Lewis Howes books, and one of them is all about how to find your purpose because he's my type, right?
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I need to like follow this advice because that's my type who is figuring out the same problem. So yeah, essentially that it's still hard, like.
Yeah, I
like,
think your type.
You really like.
Yeah, I do think your type would be the one that would find purpose the hardest because it's in a blast state, so it's gonna be the hardest one for sure.
I find Darren Brown and Sadhguru really interesting, which makes sense because they're my demon functions, right? They're like INFJs. Yes. So I do Sadhguru's meditations and I read a lot of like Darren Brown stuff.
Yeah.
And I find that sort of thing really fascinating.
Oh, that's good. That's good. At least you found resources for you to
help me find a sense of like spiritual purpose, I guess.
Exactly. Let's go over your sexual modalities real quick. You're double feminine, so tester and visual. Let's talk about being a tester and a visual.
Yeah, definitely got a visual imagination. Not really much else to say about that. Tester, I know if I go to like a restaurant or something and sometimes you get a dish and there might be like 3 sauces and like 4 different things to dip in the sauces. I'll have to do this thing where, okay, I've got to try this. I got 4 things, right? Number 1, I have to try with sauce A. Now I'll try it with sauce B. Now I'll try it with sauce C. Then I have to try number 2 with all 3 sauces. Then number 3 with all 3 sauces. And then I'll be like, I wonder what it tastes like if I eat number 1 and number 2 with like just source one, and then I'll like mix the sources and I'll just try to have every possible combination.
Yeah. And you
And
find that enjoyable?
oh yeah, because it's like lead consume, it's SE, it's like, you know, Tessa.
Yeah, tester and lead consume, that's going to be the craziest for that, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right, Evan, last question and we'll wrap up the interview. Last question for you is talk about fear as an EP, fear of control.
Oh yeah. Well, right now we're in a lockdown and it's all my friends who are freaking out about it. I'm actually okay with it because I can understand why it's like kind of have to do it.
You're right.
But one of my biggest fears would be to be imprisoned for something that I didn't do.
Oh, right.
Like that's probably my biggest fear. Or to be like, my friends were trying to get me to do mushrooms for ages and I still haven't done it because my worry is I'll get trapped in a time loop and never be able to get out.
Right.
So I guess that would fit into that category.
Right. That makes sense. I especially though I the example that you made about being in prison for something that you didn't do. I think that one resonates with me as a fellow EP, you know, like that would be horrible.
Yeah, so I'm always trying to like increase my skills and my physical capability for like, you know, what if one day, you know, the country gets like invaded and I have to like piss off into the bushes somewhere, I have to be able to run and survive and all that stuff. Or like, what if I go to prison and I have to be able to defend myself? Or like, what if I'm trapped in some other scenario, I need the tools. I guess everything I'm doing is for fear of like, I got to make sure that I'm going to be able to escape or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
I can relate as a fellow EP.
So what are you doing to prepare for that then? Because I've already explained kind of what I'm doing. Like I need the knowledge and the skills. Like, what are you looking for to escape?
Mine is a little bit different. So I have 2 passports. So my country can never lock me in. If I need to leave, I have a second passport. I can leave. I have a bank account outside Canada. So if I need to go to another country, I can, you know, I have a bank account. I'm okay because the government can you can lock in your funds, right? So yeah, and at some point I'll probably buy a property overseas just to you know, spread out the assets and don't put all the eggs in one basket. So yeah, I am preparing for it. But you're preparing more in the physical sense. I'm preparing more in like the financial and like logistical sense, you know. So,
I always think of doing that and then I just don't.
Yeah. But I've thought about taking a survival class too, like going to the woods and building my own fire and my own tent. So I've thought about that stuff too as like a survival mechanism in case like there's an apocalypse and we have to live like run away in the forest or something or the jungle. So
yeah, I got a friend who spends almost every weekend doing just that in the bush. So every now and then I go with him and it's like such good information, you know. We should team up. We'll cover both ends of the escape spectrum.
Yeah, we'll have like assets in other countries and hide in the woods.
Be unstoppable, man. We'll be those EPs in our hoodies, like hiding from the feds or whatever that Dave said.
Yeah. All right, dude. Thanks for reaching out and doing this interview with me, Evan. It was very. What I like about interviewing you actually is because you are from New Zealand, your perspective is very different from your American type twins, which I like. I like seeing I still like seeing how culture changes your personality. Essentially, you know how.
True. How was it different?
It's hard to describe.
So I know you don't have much time. You just send me a message or something.
I'll shoot you a message because yeah. Anyways, peace out, man.
Yeah, man. Catch you later.